When Battlefield 6 is clicking, it's some of the most fun I've had in a PvP game for a long time.
That's a tank!
Like I said, since I won't be sniping,
Oh my god, no one sees me. I'm right next to the tank.
Get blown up.
Be a problem.
Stop healing the tank.
It'll be fine. Nothing's ever
I killed the tank.
gone
How am I still
wrong.
alive? And I played this game for 30 hours across the 2 beta weekends, so I think I got some good playtime out of it. But not all is perfect. In fact, some stuff is really bad. I've never played a game that made me feel so optimistic yet pessimistic at the same time. So let me take you through the mental journey I went through playing the Battlefield 6 beta, starting at stage 1. Holy shit, Battlefield is back. This game looks, sounds, and feels like a Battlefield game. I distinctly remember watching the Battlefield 3 trailer forever ago and seeing a jet fly by and then explode and your screen shake, and it just looked so good. That same feeling happens when you're playing Battlefield 6. When there's a building falling down around you and everything's shaking and you don't know if you're gonna live or die, that is peak Battlefield, and that is here. In general, this game looks really good graphically. Battlefield 6 is also surprisingly optimized. My computer isn't the most up-to-date at this point. It's still a high-end PC, I would say. I'm running on a 5800X, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and a 3080, but I'm still 2 generations back on my GPU and still running on the AM4 socket. But even with this build, I can max the game out no problem. This game's optimized very well. I obviously can't speak for everyone, I'm sure some people had some issues, but for me, this game ran fine, and all my friends, which was quite a few of them because the beta was free, they tried it out and never had any issues themselves either. And I swear, EA is in this constant flux of pretending they've learned, where they make a really good Battlefield game, and then they make a game that launches horribly broken. We saw this in Battlefield 3 to Battlefield 4. They pretend they learn, and then they launch one of the most polished games we've seen in forever, Battlefield 1. And then they do it again. 2042 is a complete mess. Battlefield 6 is pretty damn polished. The UI is a total mess for getting to what you actually want to change, but like, all the settings are there that you want. What's also probably more important to many other people compared to me is that these are regular soldiers. There's no crazy over-the-top Beavis and Butthead in here. I have more leniency with the crazy skins and whatnot, like the Raptor skin in Modern Warfare 2, I think it was. I'd be down for buying this. I wouldn't care. I play with this all the time. Or the Leopard takedown skins, like stuff like this is cool. I'm fine with this. It's a multiplayer game. I don't need it to be realistic. But even I have to acknowledge Call of Duty has gone way too far with this. So seeing a game that sticks to a coherent visual identity is such a relief. If they stick to it. Yeah, here's the big if there. This is EA, and I have no doubt that if they think it's completely profitable for them, they will dash the faith that they have gained by releasing the game looking this way and then adding skins later. Don't put faith in the AAA industry. This is something that absolutely can happen. But as of right now, you are a faceless soldier. You don't choose what character you pick. There's no hero shooter abilities. This is Battlefield. And that is so nice to have back. Speaking of no heroes, they've changed the classes around. Again, as they do about every Battlefield game. I'm gonna skip Assault and come back to that at the end. Let's start with Engineer. Engineer is, as he has always been in any Battlefield game, he is the guy that takes down vehicles and repairs vehicles. You get an RPG, you get a mine, you get a stinger, you get your repair torch. Yeah, it's Engineer. The classes do get passive upgrades. For example, the Engineer can repair things faster, and you even have an extra boost if you press 6, or I don't know what button this is on your controller. That will make you heal vehicles faster. This will slowly level up over the course of a game, and you just get passive boosts that get better as the game goes on. Also, your field spec is that you take less explosive damage, which I guess makes sense for Engineer. I'm totally fine with this class. I don't think they need to change anything. Support. This is arguably the biggest change they have made. They have rolled support and medic together. When you throw down an ammo bag, that's also the health bag. Support also has defibs. I am mixed on this. Now, you can use any weapon you want to on any class, and I'll talk about this in a moment, but the signature weapon for support is, of course, the light machine gun. Problem is, light machine guns in this game have really slow ADS time and really slow sprint to fire time, meaning they're best used for supportive fire and holding positions. But if you have a defib and someone dies in front of you, you need to move from that position and revive the person. It kind of is counterintuitive to what the support is supposed to do if you want to play that playstyle. But at the same time, it also encourages support to be closer to objectives if you want to push forward. It really depends on how you play. I both like and dislike it. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it yet. Everyone in this game can revive everyone, so the main benefit you get as playing support is a defib that can instantly revive. But even if you choose the old way of just grabbing them and reviving them, you revive people much faster. Your class active ability is even just the ability to automatically start giving people ammo around you in a radius if you activate it. You're basically a mobile supply bag. Recon. You know how I mentioned you can choose any weapon you want to on any class? Recon is the main reason I really like this change. Now, if you don't like this change, don't worry, there's a mode where it's supposed to keep people to stick with the weapons they're supposed to use in that class, so you can still play it the old way, but I like the change. Recon's signature weapons are snipers, obviously, they're recon. However, that doesn't encourage people to play the objective. It's the classic Battlefield problem of people sitting out on rocks doing nothing for their team being annoying. But Recon has so many things that can help their team up front. For example, you have tugs, which you can place down on objectives, which help your whole squad. You have a spawn beacon, which you can place in a good spot next to an objective, so you can keep pushing forward. And while your signature trait is just automatically ping people when looking at them in ADS, your class active ability is the ability to call in a UAV, which is pretty damn big, but it doesn't follow you. It's wherever you put it down. So if you're being a useless sniper way off in the hills, this UAV is useless. But if you put it on top of a point, it's very useful. I actually ran Recon a lot, but I never ran it with a sniper. I was running it with SMGs or shotguns or something to actually get in the objective. And this leads us back to Assault. Assault seems like a blatant attempt to pander to Call of Duty players. Now, I'm saying this as someone that genuinely likes Call of Duty. Black Ops 2 is one of my favorite games. And also, I really liked Modern Warfare 2019 as well. I have fallen out of Call of Duty recently because I don't like modern Call of Duty, but I like Call of Duty. I like infantry combat. That is more my thing. But I also played a ton of Battlefield. So I think pandering to Call of Duty players is not the right thing to do. It should still be Battlefield. But let me explain. Whenever I played Conquest, I never felt the need to pick Assault because it felt like I was contributing nothing to the team. Your signature gadget is Adrenaline. It boosts sprint speed, reduces explosive damage, provides resistance to debuffs, and makes enemy footsteps easier to hear. Your signature trait is Soft Landing. You reduce fall damage and no movement speed after falling. Your gadgets is an M320, which I guess can help your team by putting a hole in the wall, but most people are just going to use that to try to kill more people. Hell, your class active ability is just Buffed Adrenaline, where you highlight enemy sounds and reveal nearby enemies on your minimap, and this extends with every kill you get. The worst thing about this class is that you can carry a secondary primary, meaning you have your assault rifle or whatever default weapon you spawn with, but you can also carry a shotgun, which was the default way this class comes, so everyone was just running assault with a broken shotgun. But they also had an assault rifle and a pistol and an M320. Oh, also one of the passives is that you get increased strafe speed while aiming down sights, and why do so many games do this? This is broken in literally every game it's in, even if the game is good. Like Iron Sight had this as a perk, Iron Sight being a Black Ops 2 clone that I really liked. Literally, that was all you were ever going to use. No one used any other perk because it's so broken. You can see what I mean by this is pandering to the Call of Duty crowd. This class is so useless to your team. It's just to kill. I would actually love to see Assault changed. Like, it needs something to be useful in Conquest other than just I'm going to run at enemy and kill them. I would kind of be fine putting the defibs on this class because you're supposed to be up front in the battles anyway. Just replace that with your secondary weapon, and I guess that can work. That would also fix the issue of tryhards choosing Assault and then throwing health packs down everywhere and then they were unkillable. You know, the classic Battlefield 4 AEK problem. I can also see Assault getting the spawn beacon instead, which would actually really help because then they could get to places where you can spawn and they could certainly fight their way there. Yeah, I think this class needs to be changed. It's the one class I really don't like in this game. Another positive thing I really liked is that the vehicle balance actually feels pretty good. Vehicles do not feel overpowered and they also don't feel awful. Yes, tanks can be taken down like paper mache unless you have an engineer with you, which most of the time there was 3 engineers behind every tank I saw. So unless you got rid of the engineers, you weren't getting rid of that tank. You have the disadvantage if you're trying to solo the tank. You shouldn't win that, but it is possible if you play smart, and it's really fun when that happens. Tank.
Where?
God fucking damn it!
You know, if you try to go here, come get me over here. Lol.
There's a tank on you.
I got him.
I saw.
Nice.
I just soloed it. That was the biggest brain play. I put down a mine and then shot the ground so it would look at me and then ran away, so he ran over it. Flying vehicles can still suck my nuts, but like that's flying vehicles in a nutshell. I don't know how balanced they are. I can't speak too much about them. I've just never liked them.
Stay alone.
I got him. Get fucked. Okay, this video is gonna sound really negative if I swap to negative stuff, so I just really have to reiterate my experience while playing Battlefield 6. A lot of it was very positive because it felt like Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 era Battlefield. And it was polished enough to not take me out of the moment by crashing or having so many bugs, or even in the beta, it was fairly polished. That's not saying that it was completely devoid of issues or bugs. I will talk about that. Let's move on to the second stage, where you start noticing some of the smaller stuff that may really annoy you that other people may not agree with. So yeah, if you disagree with anything I'm about to say in this section, that's fine. You can throw my opinion in the trash. It's not a big deal. We can agree to disagree with this kind of stuff, but I just want to rant a little bit. The first one we're all going to agree on though, the shotgun is really broken and definitely needs a nerf. It is way too overtuned, and that is exasperated by the fact that Assault can have a secondary shotgun. That is so stupid. No extra notes here. It just needs either less range or less pellets. It's too strong. Bloom. Oh my gosh. I don't know why Battlefield is so determined to have their gunplay based after Battlefield 4 instead of Battlefield 3. If you're firing in full auto, there is a huge bloom spread. You're not going to hit anything. You have to tap fire, which for certain guns with a lot of recoil would make sense. The problem is all of these guns have recoil patterns. If I can control the recoil pattern, that gun should be accurate even in full auto. Battlefield 3, that's how this worked. Why did they change this? And it's really exaggerated in this game. It can be just annoying. But whatever, I can work around that. The bigger issue for me is the fact that they're also obsessed with Battlefield 4's time to kill. I hate Battlefield 4's time to kill. I thought Battlefield 3 got this perfect, but Battlefield 4 increased the time to kill by 1-2 bullets across the board. To me, this makes every gun feel extremely weak. It makes gunfights last longer than they should, and makes it almost impossible to tackle on 2 or 3 opponents at a time. It can be super frustrating and just not fun. I don't like Battlefield 4's time to kill, and I never have. Oh, also, this bloom makes hipfire not feel great either. I just really want them to go back to the way Battlefield 3 felt, because that gunplay was perfect. Another video game mechanic that I've really started to hate over the last 5 years or so is sliding. In my mind, sliding should be a purely defensive option, not an offensive one. This should be something you were using to slide behind cover or slide to a downed teammate to revive them. Instead, how many times have you been killed by someone sliding around a corner in Battlefield 6, or how many kills have you gotten sliding around a corner in Battlefield 6? Did you even know that you could dolphin dive in this game? Yeah, if you're sprinting and press prone, you'll dive to the ground. I would be happier if sliding didn't even exist and this was your only option. Just like how Call of Duty was better when dolphin diving was all you could do. It's even more important here because Battlefield is not the same style of game, and I don't think hyper-offensive movement-based things should be in the game. This is nowhere near as bad as Call of Duty sliding, but people are definitely going to abuse it. And that people is already me, because you have to. Anytime I make these complaints, someone always comes out of the woodwork and goes, oh, just skill issue, get good. It's like, I use these mechanics to myself, I just don't want the game's meta to devolve to that. I much prefer a game that's about positioning and outplaying your opponent, not outshooting and outstrafing my opponent. And Battlefield obviously has never been about outshooting and outstrafing. And now we move on to the ugly, the things that people are mostly going to universally agree with that are genuinely game ruining at times. The first big one is that these maps sucked. I'm hoping in the final release this won't be the case, but the 4 maps we got in the beta were truly terrible. Out of these 4, there was only one good one. That was Siege of Cairo. This had shades of Battlefield 3's Grand Bazaar all over it. The map was big enough for both teams to exist, and the points were far enough apart to where you constantly had many different battles happening at any point of the game. There was also plenty of back alleyways, so you can flank around opponents or just say screw this and go to a different objective entirely. You had time to think and plan, and pull your squad with you. It felt like Battlefield. It didn't feel like, say, Caspian Border, where there's flying vehicles everywhere and there's tanks everywhere, but it did feel like Grand Bazaar, where tanks are going to exist and have a place to exist, but infantry also has a place to exist. So there was a push-pull. Neither had the advantage here, and there was probably going to be about 5 engineers behind that tank anyway. Iberian Offensive. This one, oddly enough, didn't show up much for me when I was playing Conquest, But when I did play it, I actually did like it quite a bit. I had my best games on this map, but even though I liked this map, I didn't like it for a Battlefield map. There are tanks on this map, but like, they can't do a whole lot. This map is small and very CQB. It almost feels like it should be an infantry-only map, and it just doesn't feel like Battlefield. Then we get to the other two maps that are just genuinely awful from the top to the bottom. Liberation Peak. This is one of the least balanced maps I've ever seen. One team has an elevation advantage, with F point being in such a hard place to reach, there will always be 20 snipers there at any given point. Let's see if you get sniped.
I'll save you. I got sniped.
We could totally run towards...
Die.
How are you alive? How am I alive? Look at all the snipers on the hill.
Holy shit. I 100% thought I was dead.
I'm alive still. I didn't even know what this objective looked like until the second beta on Saturday, because I never spawned on that team. That's how fortified this is, and that's how many snipers are always going to be there. But to make things even worse, F overlooks E, so taking E is a total pain. But it gets even worse because C has high elevation advantage, and it only has 2 ways to enter it that are heavily fortified with tons of sandbags. Once one team gets C, it's really hard to take it back, and that's a problem, because it's dead center in the middle of the map with height advantage, and you can just spawn on C and go anywhere you want to. To make it even worse, one team has the problem of they can't flank C because there's 20 snipers behind C. The most frustrating thing about this map is that if you remove C and F, it's actually pretty damn good. The lower elevation points are fun to fight in, and there's plenty of buildings to take down, lots of cover. Great map, other than C and F, which entirely ruin it. And then you get to Empire State, and Jesus Christ, this map sucks so much. This is one of the only times where I'll genuinely say, this is just Call of Duty. Again, I usually hate it when people say things are just Call of Duty when they dislike it, but in this case, it is true. Like I said, they're definitely trying to appease the Call of Duty crowd, and this is an example of that. In previous Battlefield games, when we had the quote-unquote small maps, they were much bigger than this. I mean, look at Operation Metro and Locker compared to this map. But they were also designed in a totally different way. Metro and Locker were meat grinder maps. They were elongated with very few passage points. So usually you had team pushing against team, trying to do a push-pull mechanic to push them back into their spawn. And if you managed to break through and get a flank, it could be devastating, but it was so satisfying. Yeah, this game doesn't have any flow like that, or any flow at all. There's just objectives and any point, and you can always be shot from any direction. It doesn't matter how long you've been alive, you can spawn and immediately get shot at. This map just sucks. The biggest problem with the beta maps is that they just don't feel like Battlefield. I really hope this changes with the final release, but I'm not really holding my breath. It seems they really want Call of Duty's audience, especially since it's been confirmed that they are dropping a free-to-play Battle Royale on launch. Speaking of things basically being Call of Duty, the Close Quarters playlist, all the smaller game modes have basically been ruined. Take Domination for example. Domination maps are like half the size that they used to be, and to make things even worse, you can't spawn on points, and you can't spawn on your squad. This is genuinely just Call of Duty at this point. Why would you make those changes? King of the Hill can be a little more enjoyable. You still can't spawn on your squad, but at least you can move around the point a little bit since everyone runs to one place. Still though, it just feels like Call of Duty. The only Close Quarters game mode I genuinely liked was Squad Deathmatch, because you can spawn on your squad, and there are 4 squads, so you have room to move on this map, and it feels like Battlefield. You're gonna strategize with your team. And now we get to the really ugly things that are just a problem in every PvP game for the last 8 years or so. The first massive issue is that there is no server browser. This was not just a beta thing. That's how it's gonna be in the final game. You are stuck with matchmaking, and that's absurd. Battlefield without a server browser is such a stupid idea, and the reason it exists is because our good old friend skill-based matchmaking is back. Now you may say, but Jarek, it's going to be a lot harder to implement that when there's 64 people in a lobby. Yeah, to an extent, it definitely plays less of an impact on Conquest, but I was still feeling it. Also, I'd just like to point out how many people are in Fortnite matches, and strict skill-based matchmaking is still a massive issue there. But if you don't feel it in Conquest, you definitely are going to feel it in the close quarter game modes, I was feeling it within the first few hours of playing the beta on the first weekend. This is an issue. This is a huge issue. It's one that has totally ruined multiplayer games for me in the past. This isn't just me wanting to pub stomp people either. A lot of my problem is that I've been playing Battlefield forever. I'm much better than my friends. Battlefield is not a solo game. You're gonna have a squad with you, and your squad may be having a miserable time because they're being pulled up with you. Also, Battlefield is not a competitive game. There's just no need for these sort of things in Battlefield. Imagine if there was a server browser, but you were too good for 80% of the servers, so you just couldn't join 80% of them. You were stuck to only the top 10% or whatever. That's just ranked. You're just explaining ranked, and that's not what casual should be. Also, to make the matchmaking thing worse, that means you can only play with 3 of your other friends, a squad of 4 people, including you. If other people want to join you in another squad or something, they can't, because they just have to matchmake and hope that they get thrown in the same game, which is never happening. Seriously, I cannot stress enough how much of a stupid idea this is to get rid of server browsers. This whole conversation wouldn't matter if there was just a server browser. And I know what you're saying, there's going to be kind of something like that, but it's similar to how 2042 did the Portal mode. It's not the same thing. We just have to deal with matchmaking. A matchmaking system that doesn't work half the time. I'm on a tank.
I'm not even in the game.
Yeah,
You're in a game?
searching.
What?
No?
Okay, quitting out.
Let me try my game.
Technology.
Yeah, it's still searching for me.
Yeah, I'm quitting back to the main menu. And if it's not pulling my squad into my game, I'll custom search for something and just sit in queue forever and it can't find anything. And then when it finds something, it throws me into a completely different mode I wasn't searching for. Yeah, this shit sucks. Bring back the server browser. There's no reason for this. And while we're at it, something that's crazy to me is the fact that console players can disable crossplay, but PC players can't. Fucking why? This means as a PC player, you are going to have to contend with people that have aim assist, and you will feel it. The moment you get into CQB, you just get laser beamed because all you have to do is press L and you die. They're not missing. It is a wildly different game when you're playing against only PC people that have to actually track your strafe. Every gunfight lasts longer. And I agree, I know what you're gonna say. Well, turning off crossplay isn't going to fix that because you can still just plug a controller into your computer, but that's why we need input-based matchmaking. Other games have it, you could certainly implement it, and this would not be a negative to anyone. Battlefield has always been a large PC franchise. There will definitely be more than enough people on keyboard and mouse to match up with. And console players will have certainly enough people using controller to match up with. Like, I cannot stress enough how much these 3 last issues can 100% ruin games and leave you the feeling that you just don't want to play them. Just for the love of God, bring back the server browser. Okay, I need to reiterate at the very end here that my final conclusion is that Battlefield 6 has an amazing base. It feels like old Battlefield, but it's not on par with Battlefield 3 and 4. We're not reaching that level of good Battlefield, definitely not Battlefield 3. And I can't even compare it to my favorite Battlefield game, Battlefield 1, because it's so different of an experience, so I'll leave that one out. I am optimistic at what this game's core is. The destruction is the best we've seen in a long time. This is a classic Battlefield style experience. We've not had something like this in forever. And playing it, I fluctuated wildly between this is one of the best experiences I ever had and holy shit, please change this. I don't even know whether to be optimistic or pessimistic about it. I'm both at the same time. So yeah, I guess I'll just leave you with that thought. Huge thanks to my YouTube members. They get to see all of my videos at minimum a week early, sometimes much more than that. I keep it pretty cheap. It really does help a lot. It pays a bit of my rent and bills. I cannot give them enough thanks, like truly, I mean that. I also want to give a huge thanks to everyone watching just my videos in general. If you want to see more of them, here's a whole playlist of stuff just like this. Here's a recommended video, and here's a button thing where you can subscribe and see more of my content. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.